So this is kind of the part 2 of the video. Part 1 was the flight planning and setup. Part 2 will be the landing, the final approach and landing setup. So there's a couple of things we need to do here. The simulator is paused, as you might notice. Our distance is 81.8, staying the same, and our arrival time is slowly ticking up. So the simulator is paused. I will show you in a second how you can set it up in the PMDG 737 that the simulator will be paused by itself. So to get out of the pause setting, you need to press escape, get into the menu, and then leave the menu again. But before that, we need to set up something on the MCP here. The main control panel is still dialed in at 36,000 feet. We need to dial it down to somewhat less, at least than like 14, because we'll start descending towards 17 first, and then 14, and so on. So normally I would dial it in. The altitude, for example, you can go down to 3000 if you like, but I will show you on purpose now how to fix it in case you forget it. So we'll go into the menu and pause the simulator. Your sound will be different. To fix that, go outside and then inside again, and you get the audio fixed. So we're approaching our TD, top of the descent, and I will not take you all the way down this 80 miles. We'll just pass the top of descent. I'll show you what to do, what in case you forget it, as we will do now, and then we'll fast forward towards the final part of the approach, and we'll set up the ILS together. This will be an ILS approach with 35 left, as can be seen here. If this is all looking new, the FMC, reset MCP altitude, you get the message and you get this light. Okay, we still forget it, let's say, for purpose of this video. Then I suggest you watch part 1 where we set up the plane. Fast, easy, straightforward, not too long. So we got the TD still getting closer by here. I'll go down to a 5-mile radius and we'll overfly the TD on purpose. Alright, we'll get some indication here of our here we go. We got another message. And we'll get a offset running here on our descent bed. So it's running up now. So the magenta diamond is indicating, okay, I want to be here, and we are still here. The plane starts to slow down, but still we're fixed at this 36,000 feet. So we need to fix that. There's a couple things, or actually there's like one thing. Basically you need to dial down the altitude here on the MCP. So we'll dial it down to 3000 here right away. And there's this button Alt-Int, which we need to press. And now the plane will start pitching down, but not too fast, because it will avoid to overspeed. So we need to keep an eye on it if we are fixing this offset, so to say. So we get a vertical speed coming up now of 700, 750, 800, but it's still going up, obviously. The plane is basically on idle now, or the thrust setting is idle. Outer throttle is armed. 2000, still going up here. Airspeed is climbing. So now it's slowly coming back, but airspeed is climbing. So the plane will pitch up again later on to fix this overspeed, so to say. There is a chance that we get a drag required message here. I'll wait for that. Maybe we'll get some. 1800, but in case it will fix in time, I will increase some drag. Get the speed brakes deployed. Plane will pitch down even more, just to compensate for the offset. Alright, that's one way to fix it. So we're still in time, but let's say you're too late. You got, most of the time you get, yeah, decent length or remaining distance to fix it with the speed brakes. All the way down together with the reset on the MCP altitude. But in case you forgot it, there's another way to fix it and still lose some more altitude, and that's change to heading mode. So you want to align your heading selector. You want to align it with your course line. You can change to heading mode, and now you fly heading mode, and you can make a 360-degree turn, and again line up on your course, let's say, and then switch back to LNAV mode. And LNAV will be enabled as soon as you're, yeah, like in a decent distance from your course. So this knob here, you can change the bank angle, so you can go from 10 all the way up to, I don't use it so much, 10 all the way up to 30. So if you need to lose more speed and you want to remain some distance from your waypoint, you want to use a low bank angle, 10, so your radius will be large. And when you we're still a little bit off, so I'll use some air brakes, some speed brakes. And when you say, okay, I just need to lose a little bit, then you can dial it up all the way and just make a quick 360. You will lose quite some distance. One way to monitor this is by checking this green arc. Now we're still far away, but most of the time this is only applicable when you get closer by. We still got plenty of space now. So we want to be at 7,000 there and 4,000 there. And this green line is basically showing where you will reach your set altitude. So in this setting we will reach 3,000 feet around there. And now our VNAV path is okay like this. You notice it moved away a bit, now it's adjusting again. So that's one way how to monitor it. Alright, in the meantime we'll set up our ILS now right away. We're still far away. Normally you would do it closer by, but just to continue here along with the preparations, we'll set up the ILS. So we're heading for LFLL, which is Lyon, which can be seen here. And we'll go for a runway 35 left ILS approach. This is all done already in the first part of the video, so if this is confusing or you're losing track of what's going on here, then I suggest you watch part 1 and you will for sure know what's going on here. So we'll go to the map, and this is all free without payware, software, whatever, so we're just doing everything for free. We'll fill in LFLL Lyon here, or you can just follow down your path, zoom in towards your final destination and click on the airport. Just make sure that you're actually getting the correct information. It should show up like this. But like I said, the fastest way basically is just to type in the airport. Then we want to go down to the ILS frequencies, the ILS box, so to say. I'm going to go for 35 left with a course of 353 and a frequency of 110.75. There are occasions when this is not showing up, this information, for some reason. Don't ask me why, but you go from the ATC frequencies, you go directly to this line here, let's say, and there's no ILS information, although there is an ILS runway. But you need this information. So a free website which you can use, I hope it will show up here now, is ChartFox. And all you have to do at the beginning of the website, just type again your airport, go to the approaches, find your runway, which is 35 left. I want to find the ILS information, so not an RNF, no terrain information whatsoever. We want to find that ILS. And then when we look here, we got the 354. Okay, that's slightly off by 1 degree, but it's acceptable. We got the 110.75 frequency showing up here. So that's one way how to get it. There's a ton of other information here, stuff like minimums which you have to set up for like a full professional approach, but we'll skip that part just to make it easy and straightforward for now. So you can make a landing and or approach and a landing, and then you can practice more along the way. When you're doing your flights, it will be more satisfying than doing everything from A to B, all according to the official way. You will be overwhelmed way too much. Alright, so we'll fast forward this part a little bit here. Keep an eye on our descent profile here, or descent path, and we'll see how we go along the way. I will see you again when we get closer by. Another small thing is that I'm not a real pilot, obviously. I'm just a flight sim enthusiast, but I think it's a good way to give my knowledge and information I learned over the years, starting already from Flight Simulator X, to you. It might be explained in a maybe more understandable way because we're on the same level, or I don't know, maybe it's useful. So just something I want to share. Alright, I'll see you when we get closer by. So we're slowly approaching more and more towards our destination, let's say. We were preparing our ILS frequencies, so we'll continue on with that when we get closer now. So 35 left is a 353, so I want to dial that in our courses, both boxes, 353, 353. That goes for the course. and then yeah, 35 left, is 110.75. So the last 0 you can basically forget. So 110.75, 110.75, both sides, and everything you fill in goes into the standby box, and the upper one is the active box. So that's the one thing we need to change later on. So we get closer by now. If you want to know what time you will be at the runway approximately, you can go to RTE data and you can see 35 left will be 18:36. Go back to our legs, previous page. So how to know what altitude to dial in as like your last setting in the MCP. You want to go towards your runway, and then the last waypoint before your runway is normally indicating an altitude of 2, 3 or 4,000. Those are like your normal averages, average altitudes before your runway, let's say. Maybe I will try to show you something here. Our Navigraph will take too long to set up now. Yeah, and that's paid, and we want to keep in the free. So we'll go to Sky, no Sky team, Chart Fox here again, and we'll go to LFLL. Just gonna show you so you get an idea what we're talking about here. So approach again, 35 left, the ILS, and basically as you can see here, that's a 3000 altitude. That's your approach, and then your localizer and glide path will start, or glide slope or glide path, depending on your approach. So you start at 3000, and that's where your complete approach will begin. So that's where this is based on. So this setting now is 3000. Then when we reach 10,000 feet, we want to switch on our landing lights. That's like normal procedure. Nothing will go wrong if you forget it, so don't worry about that. Our center tank of the fuel is almost empty, so we have switched off the center pumps. Again, if you forget this, it's okay, never mind. You will get a message, I believe, even. This one should turn like orange and you get a message of fuel here. But anyway, I'll switch them off now. And then, as I said, we still need to set the frequencies to active. It's still early, but let's do it already. 110.75, 110.75, check again. So you can verify that again over here, 110.75, 353, so that's all set. Again, there's nothing that can go wrong if you switch it to active too early. Now later on, now you get the message of drag required, because get some differences here going on, so we'll get some drag going on here, let's say. 10,000 feet approaching here slowly, so keep an eye on that one. 10,000 is such a figure which is always coming back. And then we got the barometric pressure here, 30.11 now, and we'll press B on the keyboard every once in a while to reset that, because we have no ATC service now going on to keep the purpose of the video, let's say, to keep it more easy. If you follow along the ATC, they will give you your pressure updates. You can adjust it here by changing that, but I just press B every once in a while now. So 10,000 feet coming up, we'll switch on our landing lights and we'll start turning towards our runway. Alright, then our engines will maintain an idle thrust more or less all the way down to the approach. Like I said, more or less. We'll take away our drag now. So we go to our init reference page, index and approach. If you mess up something here and you're lost, just press the next page again and you can start over again. So like I said, init ref, index, approach. Then you have your flap settings with your approach speed. So we'll go with a 40 flap setting now. And that gives us a reference speed of 143. Again, that's shown here as well. So we'll go back to our legs page. Proceeding towards our final waypoint. If you want to make a shortcut, I described that in the part 1 video. Then there's two ways how we can make an ILS landing. If you're still using a lot of fuel, you're burning a lot of fuel, your weight is changing and therefore your landing speed is changing. So if you're still using a lot of thrust all the way towards your landing, then just go over the approach again, and this speed might change a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Now there's two ways how we can make an ILS landing. We can do it by full auto land. That means that the plane will all the way land all the way till touchdown. So the plane will flare itself, make the touchdown, and you have to apply the reverse thrust and do the steering to stay in the center line of the runway. That's one way. Basically it's a zero visibility approach. Or, not zero, but low visibility I should say. Or you can hand fly it with the ILS guidance. So you will have the ILS information showing here, which you will get later, and you hand fly it. We'll do both of them. So we'll start on a full ILS approach, and then I will do the hand flying part. Or perhaps maybe we'll do a full auto land, because hand flying is nothing different going on. So we got the, I want to say dotted line, but here showing the runway, let's say, heading, final line. So if you say, okay, we're still going too fast, I want to slow down more because we're closing in here, I think we're going too fast, just press the speed to intervene and we can manually adjust that. So you've got 12.5 miles to go here. If you're practicing your hand flying approaches for the first time, I advise you to select a clear sky weather preset, so you have no crosswinds, no tailwinds whatsoever. It's the best for practicing hand flying the first time. So we got 3000 required here at this waypoint, as can be seen. If I uncheck the data box, this goes away. So if you want this information and it's not showing up, then press the data. So 3000 is showing up here. Our green arc or line is indicating that we will reach our 3000 feet right there, so that's perfect. This is our ILS information, which starts showing up, and we get a distance here as well, DME. I'll not go too far into detail, it might be too overwhelming. So we go with the gear up position. Our speed brakes can go to 2. There's a lot of ways how you can calculate this, but again, I want to keep it straightforward for now. So before we reach this line, we want to switch on the VOR localizer, so to capture the associated localizer. This is our localizer, which will start moving towards the center, and then when it's hitting the center, the plane will start banking to the left in this case, and follow the localizer. So we'll switch on our VOR lock, and from now we have to keep an eye on where we're at and when LNAV will be disabled. And when LNAV switches off, then the localizer takes over and this VOR lock will turn green. We'll drop down another range here, keep a close eye on everything. Want to use a little bit of drag here. And this is our glide slope, so it's getting the information, but we're still above it, so to say. And normally you want to capture the localizer before the glide slope. So again, we'll use some more speed brakes. There we go, we got a localizer capture here, and LNAV is off. From now on we can switch to approach mode, and we go to a full approach mode. And we have a glide slope capture as well. So now we have a full ILS approach LNAV and VNAV is off. We go to flaps 2. We'll dial down the speed some more. We'll go to 160 for now. And we have flap setting, I'm talking so much. We have flap setting 2, we go to 5. And then to 10, and then we're at 10, we're gonna drop the gear before going up to 15.
2500.
Some more speed brakes. We have a bit of crosswind, but not too much. 5, we go down to 10. We're getting close to our overspeed here. We'll actually touch our overspeed. Okay, we got 10 and a green on the flaps, so we go gear down, which is G on the keyboard by default. Gives us a bit of drag extra. The engines do spool up by themselves here. We can actually dial in our 143 reference speed, and we can continue on with the flaps because it gives us a little bit of extra drag even. And this is one of the reasons why you want to take over on the speed already, because we're quite fast here. To use the speed brakes here, apologies, it's not a normal procedure actually. I'll take away the speed brakes, we'll go down to flaps 25. And I like to press F8, which is basically all the flaps. Just gonna verify here, we went with a flap 40 setting, yeah that's right. Just keep an eye on those flaps. Basically the best way to set your auto brakes, if you look outside, it sounds stupid, but that's how I do it, in the beginning especially. Just look on the runway, if you think, oh it's a decent length, then 2 is fine. If you think, might be short, then just dial it up to 3 or maximum, and you can adjust it along the way. So like I said, we'll go with a full auto land. One way to keep your ILS information and hand fly it is just to disable the autopilot. There's a quick reference button for it, or press this button. You will maintain your ILS information guidance, and this is how you will maintain your flight. Then dial down to 5 to press CRT twice. We get some fancy information here how we're looking on our glide slope. I'll show you later on. Flare will show up here in white, and this should turn green, and the plane should to start actually flare. Press B once again. It's a little bit late, but okay. So just checking our plane is struggling here a little bit, might be due to the wind. Normally ILS is maintaining its approach really stable, but it's still okay. Looking fine here. Waiting for the flare to start showing up here. Reset my view. So auto throttle is maintaining its speed, and again, if you hand flying your first approach, I would advise to use auto throttle and the speed setting and just hand fly, and then later on you can switch off the auto throttle and maintain the speed yourself as well. But just start with auto throttle controlling your speed. Still waiting for the flare here.
50, 40.
We don't have the flare. That's rather strange, but okay.
10.
The plane is actually flaring itself, so that's okay. And going into the reverse thrust. Reverse is green. Want to keep that reversed. And I will show you what's happening if you change this. You see how fast it is decelerating now? So you can change that along the way. And we'll keep that reverse thrust until we're at 60. We can use, and then bring back to idle and use some manual braking. If you use the manual brakes, it will disable the auto brake, so you will go basically to brake 0 setting. Turning is okay with about a speed of 15. And we still got the speed brakes out, so we're gonna bring back those speed brakes in. We'll press F5 to bring the flaps all the way in. It might be because we had a single autopilot engaged, but it's strange. Flare should show up here. So anyway, we'll disable the autopilot here. Speed brakes can go to off, although they're not doing anything here anyway. So it might be a long way towards the gate. What I like to do here again is, let's say this is our gate. You switch on the parking brakes. While you're taxiing towards your gate, you want to switch on the APU, your auxiliary power unit, keeping it pressed down. Your APU will start up. Now your landing lights want to come off here at this point already, and your taxi lights should be on. Now the APU is starting up. EGT, exhaust gas temperature, should rise soon. And I will show you how you can switch to APU power on the gate in case you're interested into it. If not, then basically this is the end of the landing and approach phase. So you can start practicing yourself, but just if you wonder how to switch to APU power, I will show you here in a second. This is all described in part 1 in detail, and I have a full cold and dark start video with a flowchart which you can follow as well. So maybe most of you are already familiar with this, but we're just waiting. There's our APU alive, so we'll switch to APU generator, APU bleed on. So now the plane is running on its auxiliary power unit and we can cut both fuels, and this will switch off both engines. And then when this is happening at the gate, we can go into menu, FS actions, ground services, center wheel chocks, and request the ground power. Normally your engines want to be spooled down more before you request your actual ground power. And then ground power becomes available. We can take a ground power, switch off the APU bleed, switch off the APU, switch off the fuel pumps, and now we're at the gate with a full stop. Alright, hope it's useful. I'm not going to make it any longer than is necessary to get you going. If it was helpful, that would be nice. If not, and you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I will be answering them soon for you. Right, see you in the next one.